I represent a case, young patient of 10 years age, male patient, presented with distended abdomen and clinically signs of intestinal obstruction. So we have done CT scan here. We will study the case. This is topo view, that is AP view of abdomen X-ray, where we can see multiple gas-filled dilated small bowel loops in upper and central abdomen with distally no gaseous shadow, particularly at ileocecal level. Same findings we can see on lateral view as well. This is plain study where we can see diffuse dilated small bowel with air fluid levels. Dilated bowel is usually distal jejunal and proximal ileal loops with some transition at central abdominal level, particularly mid-ileal level. Contrast axial images we are scrolling. Here we can see this nasogastric tube within the stomach for decompression. What we are seeing here is collapsed duodenal lumen and proximal jejunal loops as well. Here there are so many dilated, peripherally located small bowel loops. These are of distal jejunum and proximal ileum. We can see here these collapsed jejunal loops proximally. And the dilated loops are almost reaching up to 35 mm. Many of them are showing fluid levels, air fluid levels. We can see distally this is collapse, anal canal, rectum, colon, sigmoid descending. So entire colon is collapsed here without dilatation or without wall thickening. Even small bowel also is dilated without any evidence of wall thickening anywhere else. This is contrast study venous phase, and there is no any evidence of abnormal lack of enhancement. Bowel loops appear to be normally enhancing. This appendix also we can see here, which is normal, and terminal and distal ileal loops are also collapsed. So here we can see transitional loop from dilatation to the collapse level. We can see it is located here in the center of the abdomen, almost at umbilical level. So this is some diverticular-like structure arising from the proximal ileal loop and almost at level of aortic bifurcation in central abdomen. So these are coronal images. We are scrolling. We can see here again same finding, that is outpouching focal Meckel's diverticulum itself arising from the small bowel in central abdomen. So here we have loaded coronal images where we can see the same finding, that loop. So here sagittal images we are scrolling. We can see here some diverticular outpouching like structure arising from the small bowel located in the central abdomen. Now we are seeing here in sagittal image, we can see some diverticular structure in center of the abdomen. This cut is to the umbilical center of the abdomen, where we can see dilated bowel loops, distal jejunal and ileal loops. Here gas filled, fluid filled, and there is some diverticular like structure. Here we can see this is coronal image where we can see again same sort of diverticular structure, lip like structure located in central abdomen with peripheral dilated small bowel loops. The same thing in axial image, we can see these dilated bowel loops and here diverticular outpouching like structures in central abdomen. This is one important clue that this should be Meckel's diverticulum as a cause of intestinal obstruction. Also, we are not able to see any signs of inflammation involving the central abdomen along the bowel. That is, there is no obvious diverticulitis involving the Meckel's diverticulum. Also, appendix appears normal. There is no appendicitis, no hydronephrosis or ureteric stone we are seeing here. Peritoneum also appears not much edematous, and no obvious signs of peritonitis as per present CT. So basically, we have tried to rule out here the possibility of intestinal ischemia. The arterial arcade, mesenteric, SMA, IMA, as well as venous arcade, SMV, IMV, and their branches and tributaries are well enhancing. There is no thrombosis in arterial or venous arcade. Bowel wall enhancement also appears normal in both arterial and venous disease. So there is no bowel ischemia here. Then another important point is we are not seeing signs of perforation. There is no free gas, no free fluid, no pneumatosis intestinalis, no gas in portal radicals or mesenteric venous radicals. So here we can see in diagram persistent Vitelline duct. Here we can divide Vitelline duct into proximal portion, central portion and distal portion. If the Vitelline duct is obliterated in distal portion, in superficial portion, and preserved lumen in proximal portion, then it is called as Meckel's diverticulum with fibrous cord extending up to the umbilicus. You can see here, this is the figure. Then second type is complete obliteration of the lumen of Vitelline duct with remained fibrous cord connecting the small intestine with the umbilicus. This can also act as a source of mechanical obstruction of small bowel. And in this variant, we can see there is preservation of the lumen in entire length of the Vitelline duct. So here it is called as umbilico-intestinal fistula or intestinal fistula. Here there is leakage of intestinal content through umbilicus. Then another variant is umbilical sinus, where there is preservation of the lumen of the Vitelline duct in peripheral portion at umbilical portion, while obliteration of the lumen in proximal or intestinal portion. So this is called as umbilical sinus, and it can give rise to symptoms if gets infected. Then another variety here we can see is obliteration of the Vitelline duct lumen in peripheral as well as proximal portion, while retained lumen in its central portion, giving rise to fibrous cord with intermediate cyst. So it is rather intra-abdominal cyst, and as per its size, it can give rise to symptoms. Now we can see about few quick points about Meckel's diverticulum. It is the most common type of congenital abnormality of small bowel. It is caused by incomplete closure of the Vitelline duct, that is also called as omphalomesentiric duct. It is named after Johann Friedrich Meckel. It is usually asymptomatic. However, if symptoms occur or any complication occurs, then that is usually of two types. One is related to ectopic mucosal tissue leading to GI bleeding. This cause is common in young children, and another type is related to obstruction, inflammation or perforation, and this type is more common in adults. In embryonic life, fetus receives nutrition via yolk sac, via omphalomesentiric duct or Vitelline duct. Later, it gradually undergoes narrowing and usually disappears by 7th gestation week. If it fails to obliterate spontaneously, then it gives rise to various Vitelline ductal abnormalities. Of 5 types, we can divide it into persistent Vitelline duct, second is fibrous band, third is patent Vitelline sinus, that is also called as umbilical sinus, fourth type is Vitelline duct cyst, that is also called as enterocystoma, and fifth type is Meckel's diverticulum, that is more common and occurs in 97% of. In Meckel's diverticulum, these all 5 types I will explain you in diagram. Meckel's diverticulum is a blind ending through diverticulum that contains all of the layers normally found in the ileum. Tip of the diverticulum is free in 75% of cases, while attached to the anterior abdominal wall or another structure in other cases. Rule of 2 we can consider here that said usually 2 feet location, that is 40 to 60%. that is 40 to 60 centimeter proximal to the ileocecal wall, then 2 centimeter wide, 2% of population, often before age of 2 years, and twice as likely to be symptomatic in boys and contain ectopic mucosa about half the time. Meckel's diverticulum typically lined by ileal mucosa in most of the cases, but if there is heterotopic mucosa, it would be most commonly gastric, and that gives rise to symptoms, that is GI bleed with unexplained anemia or hematochezia in young children most commonly, and that requires detailed workup to search site of GI bleed, that is heterotopic gastric mucosa, where 99 m technetium per techneted scan will help. In less common cases, heterotopic mucosa would be from pancreas tissue or rest bowel mucosa, say duodenal, jejunal, rectal, or sometimes hepatobiliary tissue as well. In case of intestinal obstruction due to Meckel's diverticulum, mechanism would be: one is omphalomyxantric band, that is most common. Second cause would be internal hernia of vitelline duct remnant. Then volvulus around vitelline duct remnant. Then intussusception, where diverticulum acts as a lead point. And another type is enteroleads trapped in the diverticulum, causing later mechanical obstruction possibility. On CT scan, basic findings are blind ending structure, fluid or gas feed, may show enteroleads, location as described previously, that is 2 feet proximal to ileocecal wall, mostly in the midline umbilical level, and detects various complications as described earlier. So here one clue, as already discussed, when young patient presented with intestinal obstruction or dilated bowel loops, and on CT if we find transition zone in central abdomen or approximately at umbilical level, we should suspect possibility of Meckel's diverticulum because it is rather more common cause. So on CT scan, it is possible that the diverticulum itself, Meckel's diverticulum itself, may not be visible properly because of the already dilated small bowel and collapsed lumen distally with transition loop at umbilical or central level. It is possible that we may miss, so we should consider this possibility. Another variant is inverted Meckel's diverticulum, where that also acts as lead point for intussusception. And on CT scan, it is seen as intraluminal fat density with surrounding soft tissue density of the invaginated bowel wall. If intestinal obstruction is seen in midline location at approximate umbilical level along terminal branch of the SMA, then Meckel's diverticulum as a cause of obstruction is more likely we should consider. Whether it is seen or not, whether Meckel's diverticulum is seen or not, if this finding we see, that is obstruction, intestinal obstruction with transition zone at midline location approximately at umbilical level in young adults, we should consider possibility of Meckel's diverticulum.